A nice smooth transition here, try not to get too silent. So yeah, just to sum up from myself, Ben Rumbold, thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. To all my buddies who tuned in on my instructions from social media, thanks to you. It's been great to get your comments through on social media as well. And then in the meantime, I'm just going to hand over to Joe Ackroyd, and then you'll hear from Jack Bernico. So this is me, Ben Rumbold, signing off and saying, welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah. We've just ticked over into the last hour now, so there's 59 minutes of this 24 hours of Ball d'Or. And it's all to play for here at the end. It's all heated up. The drama's all happening. It's waiting until this last hour, really, to get exciting. So myself and Jack will see you through to the end of this race. The Ewc team, we just, as we came back, we were amazed to see that Ewc were leading the rotten luck that's befell that Ducati team. They've done nothing wrong there for the 23 hours. It's such a shame to see all that hard work. You could see see how much it was affecting David Checker there. It was, you could see it. It was such a shame.
So amazingly, this is the team that could yet be. And look at Chief Stadler. He could end up with a rostrum finish before he retires. Remarkable. Remarkable. Florian Marino on board the Kawasaki, number 11, the SRC Kawasaki. The man who's been the guiding light of that Kawasaki for, I don't know, 20 years or more. Deciding to call it a day.
We're going to see that Volteus Igol R1 come in. I don't think that they'll be able to finish the full hour with Negon. I think they're going to have to do another stop before the end.
So the Viltas Racing Eagle Yamaha, Florian Alt, Erwin Negon, Stephen Odendahl, the absolute rookie in 24-hour racing, the unlikely trio that may clinch. We can't say will, because we've seen what's happened in the last half hour, but they may become the winners of the Ball d'Or this year. And of course, Florian Alt appropriately being perhaps the most experienced of the guys. Oh no, Erwin Negon, he's been around forever. But Florian Alt appropriately taking over from Stephen Odendahl, and with a fairly comfortable cushion lead-wise that could provide them with victory. Well, a Yamaha victory may have been expected, but it certainly may not have been this team that was expected to do it. So warm applause in their garage. It must be easy to applaud when you're leading a race with victory in sight. That's the way to do it. So the Eagle, the Viltas Eagle team, Yamaha team, look at that, looking happy enough with things. Steve Odendahl, it's going to be and still that ERC Endurance Ducati is worked on in the garage. They're putting it back together now. They seem to be nailing the thing back together. They're in 5th place at the moment. They've got 3-lap advantage over Beint Kovacs, who's on the Anthony West team, the Mako Racing team, number 14. Chris Leach is leading still the Superstock Charge from Loris Cresson, 41 and 24. In 9th place, Nico Toni on the Team Bolliger bike, and then still in 10th place, the Ewc 777 squad with Danny Webb at the helm.
Yeah,
so I think we're going to have 3 Brits in the top 10 by the looks of it. If Chas Davies and the Endurance Ducati team do get moving again, we'll also have Danny Webb there in 10th place and Dan Linfoot potentially in 2nd, should everything hold together always round.
We can't be counting the chickens yet, can we?
We've seen here is David Checker. What a relief for him, but the anxiety that he must have felt when they were working on the bike, and he just, it's not starting. Yes, it is.
So what a crazy race, you know. This is so important because in your stints, you can see for the first time P1 on the board. So what is your feeling?
Yeah, to be honest, it's after such a long day, 24 hours, wow, this is an amazing feeling, you know. I'm so happy for the team because everyone works so hard together. But looking forward to finishing the race. Just hope everyone can bring it home, just cruise home, not take many risks, and it would be amazing to stand on the top step of the podium.
Okay, all the best. Cheers.
Steve Odendahl, of all people, from Johannesburg in South Africa, came over from South Africa to compete in the Moto2 World Championship back in 2011, when he was just a kid, really, for goodness sake. Gosh, some of these people, they do travel a long way to become motorcycle racers. None further, of course, than the Australians who come across and make themselves a nuisance from such a young age, the likes of Chris Vermeulen and Casey Stoner. Luko Yannick, the Vilters Racing Igol team manager. God, what a treat for them. They would finish their previous championship of, incidentally, was that they won the FIM World Cup for Super Stockers in 2016-17. And they originally set out back in 2005 in the Coupe de France de Endurance, and eventually came into World Endurance Racing in the Superstock category in 2010. But this is monumental for them to win here. They've been the first Superstock at the 8 hours of Slovakia ring, but otherwise they've never actually scored a victory in any class, even when they were winning the FIM World Cup. SRC Kawasaki, 1 lap down now on the number 77. How much, if you were your old school friend Linfoot on that Yamaha, how much would the prospect of that? Oh look, Gilles Stadler there again alongside Randy de Punier. And now, why are they suddenly so? Isn't it a different Gilles Stadler to the one who was relaxed and enjoying himself when they were 20th?
Well, he's on the podium at this stage, isn't he? It's all changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were just saying then about Dan. They've put Dan on the bike. He's a safe pair of hands, isn't he? The experience that Dan Linfoot's got. The team know that they can put Dan on the bike and he'll just get out there and do his job, just tick away. It's exactly the right man for the job. So Dan will be getting signals from the team. Obviously, the fact that these guys have had to come in and pit just gives them a little bit, the Wojcik bike, a little bit of breathing space.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't see exactly what happened with the chain there. But it looks like obviously it snapped at exactly the right point for them to get the bike back.
I'd like to point out we were keenly watching Eurosport, but it was on an ad break at the time.
Et qu'on a le feu au cul avec la Honda derrière.
Mais tu m'as rien dit au dash, tu m'as rien dit. Moi j'ai géré le moteur.
C'était trop tard. Nous on t'avait lancé la procédure. J'ai pas 15 000 lignes si tu veux.
J'ai le pneu, il y a...
I can never tell whether the French are ticking one another off or in agreement.
It looks like he's getting the telling off, doesn't he? But
well, Randy de Punier retakes the track then. Yeah, I was mentioning the Vilters Igol Racing Yamaha and how it's they've never, even when they won the FIM World Cup in 2016-17, they never finished better than second in the class at the Slovakia ring. They were third in the Le Mans, third in the 8 hours of Oschersleben. So they were consistent through the year, but they never actually did any winning. And here they are on the brink of winning the Ball d'Or. It's a crazy old life. They didn't enter the Endurance World Championship until 2019. So really, they're relatively inexperienced at this kind of racing. But they're certainly bringing the job home at the moment. Would Linny, is there any danger of, would it prey on your mind at all slightly that chain underneath you had been kind of put back together after some fairly laborious work in the garage, and you hope that it's all going to hold together and those chain links are all right?
Every single one of those riders now will be listening to every little rattle and tick and vibration, and their minds will be playing tricks on them. They'll think, oh, something's vibrating, and it's to get a bike to this point and so close. Yeah, there's going to be Dan will be riding around thinking, oh, just please, please.
Gilles doesn't look as gaunt as he used to. He used to look, he's padded out a little bit in that SRC Kawasaki camp. He used to be slightly more frightening looking because he was so skeletonic and gaunt, but now he's looking a little, you know.
He maybe knew that he was going to retire halfway through the year and start enjoying himself. He's putting his winter coat on.
Erwin Negon, of all people. Would you believe it?
Yeah, we were talking earlier on in the race when the Honda guys had to the Honda guys had to change an exhaust, didn't they? And we said, you know, out of all the things to go wrong, if you have to put the bike back in the garage, things like exhausts are the lesser of the evils if you've got to start repairing bikes. From the Wojciech team, a chain is not ideal, but by the looks of it, it went at just the right place for them to be able to push the bike back.
Isn't this ironic that the prospective race winner and current race leader is just ahead of the team we thought were going to take the honours? David Checker on the number 6 factory Ducati, who are now down in 5th place, minus 9 laps. Wow, that took a while to sort out, didn't it? I'd love to know who this wild old boy and wise-looking old boy is on the right-hand side of the picture. And look at the guys on the Yamaha. Erwin Negon, an old head, 40-year-old now. He doesn't need to interfere. Oh, and the Honda preparing to celebrate a world championship in 4th place with Josh Hook at the moment. Randy Depunier ready to celebrate a rostrum finish in his homeland.
Yeah, but they didn't have that one down as even being a possibility earlier on in the race, did they?
In fact, Veltaius Racing, 24-hour moto retired, 24 hours of Spa, 6th. Suzuka 8 hours did not participate. So this is, a beacon of joy for them.
For so many of the teams based in Europe, the cost to try and go to Suzuka is just so much now.
The only time that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. The only time that Gilles Stadler took the SRC Kawasaki team to Suzuka was when they had that opportunity to win the World Championship, and they finished 12th over there and did celebrate a World Championship, which was great to see. But I think that's the only time that, up until then, that they'd taken that trip. They were very much the 24-hour specialists. Dan Linfoot's becoming a 24-hour specialist as well with this display.
Yes.
So there he is on the charge.
Absolute textbook from Dan. And it's what we expect. You know, Dan's been around a long time. He's been in all these, in nearly every paddock that there is. So it's great to see him up the front after a couple of difficult years in BSB. I'm gutted for him and the team for the situation happened with the chain there, for them to be leading, and I wouldn't say a comfortable lead, but nearly a minute they had over second place,
and it maintained that consistency right throughout.
It was more than enough to give them that buffer to the end of the race.
And for SRC Kawasaki, 3rd place potentially. In the background there, the unusual colours of a team we haven't really mentioned at all during our stint in the broadcast. The team Aviobike Yamaha, and they've got a wonderful team manager called Giovanni Baggi, who always used to run Italians on his team, including himself, but has gone for completely different nationalities this time around. And but he has himself as the kind of reserve rider, as the rider who doesn't take part. He's 46 years old, and he's ridden in the CIV Italian Championship quite a lot and stuff like that. But quite entertaining to see. He's had a rostrum finish, in fact, in the Italian Superbikes at Mugello back in 2010.
Just looking at those stats there, if Honda managed to bring home the championship, it just shows that it's consistency and endurance. And
it also takes them back level with Suzuki in the number of race wins, 18 race wins apiece across the history of the Vol d'Or since 1969, when the Japanese factories first entered. Oh, Tati Beringer Racing, look at that. How cruel is that? From potential world champions to 4th place. in the blink of an eye. There's always been a lot of Japanese input into the FCC TSR Honda squad, and I think that's held them in pretty good stead. It means that they're going to be world champions again for the second time in 4 years, which is pretty good. So we've had Honda, Kawasaki, Cert, Suzuki, Honda again in the last 4 years. So a bit more variety than we usually get after that. We've had so much domination by Cert Suzuki during the Dominique Millian years.
Yeah.
That you know, it's a cruel way to end your domination, but it has to happen sometime, and it's lovely to see this guy and his teammates be rewarded, and also by proxy Gino Rea, because remember Gino's sensational third place finish at Le Mans. That was absolutely a replay. I even texted him to say that was absolutely a replay of, I know I'm sorry to sound stupid, but the first ever World Championship for motorcycle racing, Grand Prix, 1949 at Spa. The Moto Guzzi's, the two factory Moto Guzzi's led into last horse hairpin on the last lap of the 500cc race, and they both outbraked each other and overran. And the sensational Bill Duran of Doran's Bend on the Isle of Man, that's where he broke his leg. Bill Duran was behind them on the AJS Porcupine. He was the teammate of Les Graham's, and Les Graham won the World Championship that year, but Bill just ducked inside the two wayward Moto Guzzi's and beat them by 1/10 of a second in a belt to the line. And I thought, that's Gino, but repeating history all over again. Fantastic.
Yeah, Gino's been a real solid member of that team, hasn't he, this year?
Yeah. And of course, our compliments to Terry Reimer, who played a big part in getting him that ride. You know, because before that he was due to stay in BSB with Suzuki, for whom he'd won a couple of times in the wet last year. And then suddenly it was, whoa, I've got a real ride here.
Yeah.
Let's go and do this.
And I've said it, you know, a number of times. While I've been sat here with you, Jack, you know, there is a GoFundMe page there for.
Javi's finally finished. It's just like, after making all that effort, and he's been so quick, and they're going to end up in 5th place. Too much for the lad. He's expired. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying?
No, I was just saying there's a GoFundMe page for Gino available if you go on to www.gofundme and you just type in Gino's name. There's a GoFundMe page there where you can just contribute towards his rehabilitation after that serious crash that he had at Suzuka. So if you can spare a few quid, jump on and throw a few quid in the pot.
Even if it is just a few quid, it's all going to mount up. So rather like laps do in this caper here. You know, looking at these guys, they've now done 697 laps. So they're 3 laps away from the 700 mark with Erwin Negon on board. This guy, David Checker, they've done 685 laps after being handsome leaders. I'll tell you what, it's finishing in the top 5, okay. Being potential winners, and so handsome potential winners for so long, has really boosted Ducati's standing in the World Superbike, the World Endurance paddock. I mean, they can be looked at now as serious challengers with a team like that and a bike like that.
Yeah, it's you know, I said when I first came on air, it's not to take anything away from the disappointment there for the Wojcik team that looked like they had that first place in the bag, but for Ducati to lead a race for so long in the World Endurance, it's been so long, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You can just feel for them as a team, and David Checker and Xavi Forés, they've absolutely busted a gut through the night, haven't they?
Yes.
And back-to-backed it, and for all that work to have them now back in 6th, you really feel for them.
How much have they got? Oh, they've got they've got a 2-lap cushion on their number 14 machine of Anthony West's lot, the Mako Racing team. Again on Yamaha. Yamahas have all just at this present time are adorning the Endurance World paddock. Here is the number 14 bike coming past us right now.
Balint Kovac is on the bike now. He actually rides for the Wojcik team as the 4th rider. But was drafted in last night, I believe, to stand in as the 3rd rider for the Mako team. I'm not sure what happened within the team with the 3rd rider. I'm not entirely sure.
So he must be. He's done a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
Mind you, in the Motogp team, he might have had even more good fortune, but he's or at least reasonable fortune to be running in second place. But he still looks like he's going to get a top 6 finish ahead of the first of the super stockers, and he is one of them. In fact, this is the first super stocker coming in, Jonathan Hart on the RAC 41. I wonder if that's because they break down a lot. RAC 41 chrome burner Honda. They're certainly not breaking down in this particular stint, although they did have a long time in the pits, didn't they? And
well, they
recovered well from it.
They had a fractured exhaust, didn't they? And all the guys had to get on it, but they didn't lose any positions. They lost a few laps of that, the cushion that they had.
And there's the No Limit Suzuki team in lovely Daisy.
Lucas Gasser.
Lucas Gasser making a bit of a mess of that corner as he goes around the outside of them. The No Limits team still down in 6th place overall, but prospectively the runners-up in the World Championship behind the number 18 bike, the Team 18 Sapeur Pompier CMS Motorstore Yamaha. If I don't say the name of a bike, you can pretty much take it that it's a Yamaha. ADSS 97 now in 13th place in the stock category.
23rd overall. Chris Platt, the team owners, back on the bike. As we look further down the timesheets, you can see the times just dropping off now. They're doing 2:03s, 2:04s. These guys are just on autopilot just to try and get the bike across the line now. Absolutely shattered. You know, you've got to remember that a lot of these stock riders, they have day jobs. Their jobs are not full-time motorbike races to be training in the gym every day. You know, they've got to go and earn a living and do the graft and then try and find time to get fit to come and do a 24-hour race. So, you know, I sometimes see the old keyboard warriors that say things about the guys further down the grid. You cannot believe how hard it is to do this and how fast these guys are. You know, this is a world championship. It's they're not club races, and everybody on that grid has, you know, has my full respect. It's tough, is this, to keep getting on and keep going and going and going.
And that's Loris Cresson back on the number 24 second-placed super stock bike. We are recognising the familiar Belgian yellow helmet. And talking about yellow, this is more like a kind of fluorescent yellow on the RAC chrome burner, Philip Steinmeier. They've had a good ride because they've had some misfortune in the past. Was it here last year that they suffered a literally first turn collision and went end over end and out of the race? I think it was, you know. No Limit still in second place in the Virtual World Cup, ahead of Maxes Neville Kawasaki and the pit lane endurance team. So good. It's a good job that the firemen did their job earlier in the series, isn't it? Because they certainly haven't had the good fortune here.
Yeah, it didn't look good for them there, did it, when they came into the pits earlier on in the race? We thought that was them pretty much done. So it's good that they've been able to get the bike back together and get back out and circulating. And for them to win the World Championship, they obviously want to finish. They want to finish the race, don't they? And they want to be able to cross the line. So the teams all pulled together and got that R1 back out and circulating. Sorry, I used the word circulating again,
it's all right, you
sorry.
carry on. The Team 33 Louis April Moto Kawasaki with Christian Giammarino on board, supported by Kevin Collier and Guillaume Antiga. They've at least got themselves into the top 20, which always sounds good. Somehow just getting into 20th place. And 2 places behind, Jan Mertens, who's the guy riding alongside David Shoebridge and Tom Oliver. They're in 22nd place. That's overall, of course.
We just saw Alan Tesher getting ready to change over with Josh Hook. So we'll be expecting that Honda to come in soon.
I beg his pardon, in between, I'm looking for, and behind Jan Mertens is number 23, Chris Platt, on the ADSS 97 bike. So they're going to give Alan Tesher, as we look at the Virtual Championship, Yoshimura Cert Motul in their absence will finish second ahead of Viltias Racing Eagle, who moved to 3rd place, bronze medalist in the World Championship as a result of this victory.
That's 700 laps completed by the Viltias team.
That's quite impressive, isn't it? By anybody's standards, that's quite impressive.
And when you think of it from an engineering point of view, that bike's done 700 laps.
Yeah.
Repeatedly, constantly.
Yes.
It's just kept going. Might be the commentator's curse.
Wait and see. You've got 3 hours and 25 minutes gone. It always looks very cool when these guys, the way that they just rest an arm on the tank. And
well, he's knackered.
Oh, but they do that on the way out as well, or is that because they're knackered at that stage?
Just any last little bit of energy you can save, yeah.
13,000 max.
Did you hear that?
13,000, yeah, so short shifting.
A quick little reminder, 13,000 max.
Another good pit stop from the Honda boys.
It was quick, wasn't it?
We'll see if we can hear what Josh says.
So fucking...
Yeah, understand.
It's strange to finish a race like this.
Ducati is the stop.
I hope you get to the finish line, son.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So obviously in 5th place, they're a lap behind the SR Kawasaki, so unlikely to get themselves on the roster, but they're overall the unlikely job is done. FIM Endurance World Champions in 2018, Ball d'Or winners, 2-time 24-hour motors winners at Le Mans, 3 times Suzuka 8-hour winners, the last time 2012, 2 times the Oschersleben 8-hour winners, 17 and 18. It's quite an impressive record for the Honda, and they do, if they go the next half hour and 5 minutes, they will be leveling up with Suzuki. With Suzuki, Honda 18 wins at the Ball d'Or, Suzuki 18 wins at the Ball d'Or. We're hoping to grab a word with Josh Hook. He usually behaves himself when he's got a mic under his nose.
Josh, it's not about winning a race, it's not about the podiums, it's about winning that World Championship and bringing that bike home. Would you agree now?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, that was the goal all along. You know, if we had to win the race, we would have obviously tried for the championship, but in today's case, we just got lucky. I mean, all the top dogs got taken out early on in the race, and we had a few dramas ourselves really too. So you know, it wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, we're here now. There's only half an hour left to go, and we're basically just nursing the thing home. Like, as you've seen, Ducati out now as well. Like, you know, it doesn't take much to blow a bike up around this joint, so you know, we're just taking care of it, getting it home.
Final stint done for you, Josh. Good day at the office?
Yeah, really good. Stressful, but you know, it's over now. Alan's out there to finish it off, and hopefully he can come home with the goods.
Best of luck to the team. Thanks, Josh.
Cheers.
Yeah, we just saw the on the left of your screen as well, the LRP Poland bike passing the factory Honda.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
so that tells you how much those boys have rolled out. Dramas for the Wojcik stock team with Danny Webb, Manfredi.
Would you believe it? Half an hour to go for the Wojcik Racing Team 2, number 777. And I was just saying, cruelly, ridiculously, that Wojcik had 2 bikes in the top 10. They're still in 10th place. They've got 3 laps to sort this out before the number 86 machine moves into the top 10. And that's the pit lane endurance squad of Maxime Pellizotti, Alain Parasol, and Asin Rudy Pack.
This bike's just blowing up left, right, and centre.
You must be getting stressed.
It's so stressful. You're riding around there like an idiot, like going that slow, and fucking. And all I'm just worried about every little noise I hear in the engine. I'm thinking, oh shit, fucking look out, thing's gonna go any minute now.
Oh, I love the colourful line. This is Josh Hook in conversation with Greg Black, a sporting loser.
That's ace, isn't it? We don't have a button in here to be able to beep out language, otherwise we could just go every other word, couldn't we, with Josh?
Yes. Well, I'd rather not, actually.
No, I think it's better like that. Brilliant. We heard him saying about the listening for every little noise,
yes.
and
yes.
it's they know the stress and strain that's gone onto these bikes.
It is, if that was just if he was just performing riding round, it would be lovely to see them pressed to the limit. But anyway, as he says earlier to Lisa, they didn't need to be. They just had to Nurse it round, keep it below 13,000 revs.
Yeah.
And keep it comfortable. Tell you what, considering the Fireblades don't do as well in certain other championships, they don't have crack on well in this championship. So at the moment then, leading the way, the Viltius Racing Yamaha. Second place goes for number 77, the Wojcik Racing Yamaha. Third place, the SRC Kawasaki WeBike team of number 11. Fourth place, number 5, the Josh Hook. At this moment, Alain Teche Honda. In fifth place, the demoralized Ducati squad, but David Checker still giving everything in the 777 squad. The second of the Wojcik bike is coming out, and that's got to be Kevin Manfredi, built like that. Coming out ready to go. The number 86 bike goes past, but I don't think it's made up enough laps. They haven't been stationary sufficiently long to lose their second. Yeah, there's still a 2-lap gap at least between that bike and the Wojcik Superstock bike in 10th place. You've got to say the No Limits team have been consistent, if nothing else. They're still in 14th place by virtue of losing one of the teams ahead of them, the Leon Haslam Tati Beringer Kawasaki team, but they're stuck down there in 14th place.
Yeah, 6th in class. It's been a surprisingly sort of uneventful showing from the No Limits team. They won here last year. That said, the rate of attrition last year was 50% of the field ended up retiring from the race.
Did they win last year?
They won the stock class last year.
Did they?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was here that I saw, I couldn't remember which one I'd seen, and jubilant Lucas Scassa hugging his team beside the pit wall.
Yeah.
Still, they've ended up second in the World Championship.
Consistency again.
Of just staying there and doing the job, because they never really made it quick off the start. And they're doing high 159s now.
And that has gone pop. That is the Wojcik Superstock bike. Oh, I don't know if Manfredi even knows about that, because he doesn't look to have rolled off. He's still pressing on, unless he's thinking he can try and get it back.
No. He's realised, hasn't he? Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Will this require a big clean-up?
Well, that's why I'm amazed that he's obviously got the hammer down, either in frustration or thinking, if I just keep nailing it, I can get nearer, but that's oil all over the back left of that tyre.
Yeah.
So he's just trying to get it back to the pits as quickly as he possibly can.
It is Kevin Manfredi that's on the bike. Who was, of course, the fastest of that team. But he hadn't completed a full lap. He was still on his pit out lap. Well, isn't it remarkable how things work, eh?
I don't know what's going to happen there with regards to the safety car, because that bike was smoking and it looked like it had gone pop, or was at least shedding a lot of oil at the beginning of the Mistral straight there. And he went the whole way down it, albeit right on the right-hand side of the track. But I wouldn't have said he pulled over at the first available opportunity, would you?
I don't know how a motorbike sounds to you when you're on top of it and it starts smoking like that.
He'd looked down, so I was surprised at that, but obviously had his reasons.
He's a Leon Haslam type bulldog, mate. He'd want to get it back to the garage somehow. He'd want to finish the race somehow. So
Marshall's pointing him in the direction that he needs to go to get it back.
Can he still? The bike still works.
It's still running.
Like this.
Yeah, the bike's still running.
So what do you think's gone pop?
Well, it's obviously spewed oil out and all over the exhaust, which is what that big cloud of smoke was.
Yeah.
So it's how much oil it's lost. The bike's still running. So providing it hasn't damaged the engine.
So the team can now push it because he's
made it back to pit lane, so now he's allowed help from the team.
Right.
And the spirit of the endurance, they'll all come out and clap.
Oh, that's very touching. Do you know, this is like deja vu for me, because in a filthy wet rainstorm at Mugello in a CIV Italian Supersport race, he slid up the road and he took off after his bike with that burly bow-legged run at colossal speed, chasing his bike that went on forever across the tarmac runoff. And here he is doing it all over again. He's given up on that chase anyway. He's left it to his teammates, his team to do it. Oh, that is great that they get it. Oh, that's broken the handlebar, hasn't it? It's bent it, certainly.
Well, they look like there was a big pool of oil there that's come out the belly pan.
Oh, and this is pit lane endurance, of course, who face the prospect of benefiting from this.
So that looks like they're spraying brake cleaner on to try and clear the oil off.
Yeah, so the pit lane endurance guy, Adrian Parasol, is now just taken over in 11th place, but both of them have been passed by Pepin Bisterbosch on the number 90 bike. The LRP Poland bike moves into the top 10 ahead of the two stockers, but more importantly, Adrian Parasol moves into 11th place and 3rd Superstock. And of course, there's a fair number of Superstock bikes lurking behind these guys. A fair distance, it has to be said. Oh, actually, no, not very far at all. They're on 684 laps. So too is Alex Saraberuz and number 23. And so too is the No Limits Motor Team, number 44, on 683. And then on 682. In fact, there's a lot of ground they can lose, a lot of positions they can lose.
Sorry, Jack, I would have loved to been able to see exactly what was going on down there, because I'm pretty sure I saw one of the mechanics with the oil filter in his hand, as if the oil filter started winding itself off. But I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that one of the mechanics had the oil filter in his hand.
Could that cause as great a plume
absolutely, yeah. It's pouring all into the belly pan and all over the link pipes of the exhaust, which are obviously extremely hot, which is where you get the smoke. So if it started leaking out of there.
So this then is the pit lane endurance number 86 JP3 Yamaha team. Maxim Pellizotti, Adrian Parasol, sorry, I beg his pardon, and Azrim Rodi Pak. They're leading the way to be on the rostrum in 3rd place in the Superstock race, if nothing else happens. At the moment, Kronberner, Honda, and the number 24 bike of Loris Cresson, the BMRT 3D Maxus Nevers Kawasaki, going to be the first two people in the Superstock class. There's Christian Giammarino tailgating the number 86 bike, and passing through.
And 3rd in your picture there's David Shoebridge on the TRT 27 Suzuki.
I beg your pardon, it was Guillaume Antiga, the Frenchman, on that number 33 bike. I thought that wasn't Christian Giammarino's helmet. Oh, he's flicking a leg out, and Rossi style.
Probably got cramp. So the Ewc bike in 2nd still has a 1-lap buffer between them and the Kawasaki in 3rd.
And you would think that might be enough. But what about these guys? We've seen that anything can happen, goodness me. 20 minutes yet.
I know.
And this is Voltaires Racing Eagle Yamaha coming in. And I think Florian Alt is going to have the triumphant moment on that 333 Yamaha. Florian Marino, bless him, left this team at the end of last year. He must think, oh, I could have been a winner here in France. Even so, he's going to be on the rostrum with the SRC Kawasaki squad.
It's been a real under-the-radar performance by them, haven't they? They've just kept quietly ticking away.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not really been any drama or done anything untoward. They've just kept ticking away quietly in the background.
Hung around on the fringe of the top 10.
Yeah. Not go inside.
It's oil?
Yes. Middle.
The long left.
Yeah.
Sound advice.
So that'll be the oil from the Ewc Superstock bike. As we see the second position, Ewc Superbike, Dan Linfoot's come in, Sheridan Marias getting on now, he's going to finish the race.
And that was the vastly experienced Erwin Negon that's shouting that advice at Florian Alt. So he wants him to keep well over to the left down the Mistral straight and avoid that potential contamination. But nothing in endurance racing where everyone's just advised to steer clear of it, and nothing's cleared up particularly.
If they thought that it was dangerous and it was all over the track on the racing line, then I think they would have put the safety car out. You'd have to say that because they're not taking any action, they don't feel that it's in a place of any concern, really.
Well, what a deserving... Oh, the 777's out again. So it was just what you thought you saw in a mechanic's hand. Looked like it was the real thing.
It was only a flash. It just looked like one of the mechanics had the oil filter in his hand, as if the thing started to wind itself off. I don't know why, and maybe I'm wrong. If someone wants to correct me on that, then that's absolutely fine. It was just what I thought I saw.
So at the moment they've just slipped down to, in fact, Alexei Masbo on the No Limits Suzuki has just passed through into 13th place. So down to 14th now, Kevin Manfredi. He's on the same lap as Charles Corto on the 72 Junior Suzuki team. So we're going to talk again to Erwin Negan any minute now with a quick chat with Freddie Foray. It's always entertaining here, Frenchman talking to Frenchman in English.
So Erwin, this is your last stint, 30 minutes to go, but with your face, I know exactly what you feel. You know, we don't want to be happy until the finish line.
Yeah, that's true. This is the endurance race, and especially 24 hours, you need to think. The race is finished after the chicken flag. So I have more than 15 years experience in this championship, so it's never finished. So stay focused, you never know what happens, keep calm.
Okay, you never won the boulder before, so definitely on the bike, it was quite difficult to manage it, you know, because you start to think about victory, but in the same time the race is not over.
I'm not think about the victory. I just think about my engine, manage my tire, manage the catch rider. So I'm just focused on my job. I'm not focused on the future. I don't know my future.
Thank you. See you later.
That's 40-year-old Erwin Negon from Rion, who's he's been in this game for a long time. He was originally French Superbike champion in 2010, but in 2012 he moved over and won the IDM German Superbike Championship with a BMW, the Alpha Technic Van Zon team.
Sorry, Jack, just to jump in there. There's the black with an orange circle sign and flag being waved, and I think it's for the 777 Ewc Superbike. I just caught a glimpse of it then. That flag is that there's a technical problem with the bike and they need to pit. There'll be a number being shown with that flag, and that number is the rider that needs to pull in. But we haven't seen the board, but I'm pretty sure it was 777.
Michelin used to be a fairly dominant player in this championship, but they're looking a bit lonely there with Team Bolliger in 9th place.
Yeah, Dunlop seem to have sort of been the tyre of choice, don't they?
Yeah. This guy, Florian Alt, is first. Oh, now where's he going to go? Oh, it doesn't matter. Sorry, it doesn't matter down this stretch, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, and poor. What a frustration for these guys. What a frustration.
for so long in the race, they've been in that podium position within their class.
Yeah. Same for these guys, of course. I mean, you know what? It's always said that the only time it matters to be in first place is when the checkered flag goes down.
Absolutely, yeah.
God, these guys have certainly proven it, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, they were 5th in the race, weren't they? And then bumped up to
4th.
Bumped to 4th, and
that looked about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Remarkable, absolutely remarkable. Yeah, flat.
Sheridan Marias, the Wojcik boys have put their superbike in the hands of the senior member of staff.
I don't think of him as being a senior member of staff. He's got such a boyish face on him. Is he really senior member of staff?
He'll be older than Dan, yeah.
I suppose he's 37. Yeah, I don't think of him as being that age. Good Lord. It just shows when you first see someone racing, you think, and in that case, in the 2005 or 6 Superstock 1000 European Championship on a Suzuki, you think they'll always be that kind of age.
Yeah, and you come forward a few years, you know, and Sheridan did 3 years with the Yamaha World Endurance Team as well.
Yes.
So
yes,
this is his playground now.
Well, he's showing it, isn't he? And he's been given the opportunity here. The number 11 Kawasaki with Randy Depunier on board.
Yeah, and just in front of him is the number 8 Kawasaki, the Team Bolliger bike. As you say, on the lone Michelin.
Yeah, but and they're another team that they did have a mid-race crisis that dropped them to the mid-teens, but they've just gradually picked up again. And they kind of prove that you don't, although we love to welcome big names to the EWC paddock, they prove that you don't need to have big names to score results, really. Coming up against, coming up behind the potential Superstock World Champions, FIM World Cup Champions, I beg your pardon, number 18.
Well, Randy Depunier is currently the fastest man on track as well. I mean, he's the only one out there that's still doing 56s.
Really?
Yeah, Sheridan in second is doing 57s.
Just had a little snap at him then, the Kawasaki.
A 55 that last lap, so Randy's still in mid-race mode.
He has dropped her a couple of times in previous...
I'm not jinxing anybody, Jack.
He has indeed. So let's just not twitch it around too fast, Randy, please. I do appreciate what Josh Hook says about sometimes you slow up a bit too much and it actually causes you more problems.
Yeah, you do. That's when you do silly mistakes, because it's just a lapse in concentration. You miss a braking marker, or you trail braking to the turn a little bit too much. You just do silly things when you stop pushing. So these guys will want to just keep applying themselves enough that they get stuck in. But
I was just watching that rear view of Randy Depunier coming out of the final turn and onto that straight. Wow. It just looked great. And do you know what it reminded me of? That still is etched in my mind is coming out of the final chicane at Imola in a World Super Sport practice session. I'm watching Jules Cluzel in the same sort of position on a super sport bike. Just the balance and the poise and the rate at which it rocketed out of the chicane just looked phenomenal.
yeah, you're driving really hard out of there because you've got that long right just before you flick left to go onto the straight there. So in that right-hander where we're seeing the Honda come up to now, you've just got to be so patient. He'll stay in the middle of the track, and then he'll be looking for the curve back on the inside, and then straight across and get the drive back out, run the curve to the end of the white and the red.
A little more settled in the centre of the bike. What I loved about the way Cluzel rode, or still rides, and Depunier was just that balance of tipping themselves off the bike, and somehow it just looks a wonderful, almost balletic kind of style.
I mean, we've watched Tesha go through there. He's 5 seconds a lap slower than what Depunier is doing, so that's why his body language is slightly different.
Okay, that would explain it.
He's just relaxing. He's making sure that Honda comes to the end of the race.
Yes, so is he, or hoping that Honda comes to the end of the race. We're 10 minutes short of finishing the 85th Bol d'Or on the centenary of the Bol d'Or. 100 years since it was first launched on Circuit Valle as the once leading and once looking like winning Ducati comes out in the hands of David Checker.
Yeah, we're just willing every single one of these bikes to finish now.
8 times, 8 venues this has had, from the Circuit de la Ville in Saint-Germain to the Autodrome of Montellieri in 1936, to back to Saint-Germain in 1947, back to Montellieri in 1949, all the way to 1960. In 1954, 2 riders per motorcycle were introduced. Yes, they'd been doing it on their own up till then. And the last ball won by a 500 BMW, 1960. But the race had lost its appeal, and there were only 37 starters, 25 finishers, and not a great crowd. And the race, having lost its appeal, was suspended until Montellieri again in 1969 was restricted to French riders when it was reintroduced. 1970 it reopened to all nationalities, and was won by Tom Dickey and Paul Smart from the United Kingdom on the Works Triumph Trident. British riders on a British bike. That was followed in 1971 at the Bugatti circuit at Le Mans, and that was the last European victory at the 35th Bol d'Or. Ray Pickrell and Percy Tate on a 750 BSA triple. By then the Hondas were taking over, and the Hondas are back to take the World Championship here at the Bol d'Or, but the winning team looks very likely to be a Yamaha, but not the Yamaha we may have necessarily expected, the Viltias Racing Eagle Yamaha. Meanwhile, at SRC Kawasaki, coming out for the final stint, so the most likely outcome right now is that Viltias Yamaha will win. Second place will go to the Wojcik team Yamaha. That's 2 Yamaha 1-2. Third place for the SRC Kawasaki. The winners of the Super Stock World Championship, the FIM World Cup, look to be these guys who are running where at the moment. They're running well down, aren't they? And also a lot of.
Yeah, Hugo Claire's on the bike, the 28th at the minute, but really it's about getting the bike to the end.
And then
21 years they've been competing in the World Endurance, the guys, yeah.
99 laps adrift, but it matters not.
No.
You were telling me about a horrendous injury that young man had received as well, that he must have remarkably recovered from.
Yeah, last year in the practice before the race day, he'd been hit by debris at the end of the Mistral Straight. It hit him in the left arm, and unfortunately it wrote him out of doing the race, and they had to draft in James Westmoreland, who's the 4th rider for the current leading team, the Viltias team, and Westy as we know him, James Westmoreland. He came across as the 3rd rider, and they made it about 23 hours of the race, and then the bike broke down. It was a terminal one, and
it's just occurred to me, Westy's a part of this. Westy's a part of this winning team.
Yeah, Westy's. So we do have a Brit.
So we do have a Brit involved in the winning team.
Yeah. And it is a team sport, you know. Each one of these riders plays a part, and that 4th rider is included in that process as well. You know, Westy does his part with the testing and the developing and the riding.
I think he's pretty good at that, isn't he?
Yeah,
because he's quite a quiet, methodical, serious kind of lad. He's forever finished runner-up in the 125 GP Championship in the UK a couple of times, in the British Super Sport Championship a couple of times, but never quite taken the win. But presumably he won't actually be blessed with a rostrum finish, but he'll be down below leading the applause.
I don't know what the etiquette is. I mean, you'd like to think he's part of the team. He's one of the riders. He's taken part of the whole season as that 4th rider. So I'd like to think that they would welcome him up onto the podium with the rest of the team.
Yeah, why not? Get him up there, boys. Completing 715 laps then, and that last lap was 2 minutes 5.8 seconds. That's Florian Alt at his steadiest. I beg your pardon, I was looking at the wrong part of the... Oh,
it was
it's
still a 2 minute lap.
2 minutes lap, 2 minute 0.49 lap. Sheridan Marias on 1 minute 56, similar for Randy de Punier. Alain Teche on 1:59.7, nursing that Honda.
You saw, you saw Florian just going down the straight there, pretty much sat up down the Mistral straight. They're not revving that bike anywhere near now. They are absolutely nursing it home. He'd be pedalling with his legs if he could.
Yeah, who needs to use an engine? Let's keep the engine safe. And there are the new world champions coming up once again. Alain Teche, well, he certainly never expected this, did he? He'd have been with the Tati Beringer outfit before. Oh, he just wants to take a bit of care, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, Jonathan Hart on the number 41 stock machine's probably come up on the factory Honda and thought, oh my God, why is he going so slow?
And there is the understandable tension in the pits. Keep fighting, Gino, number 44. Keep fighting, Gino. FCC TSR Honda look like, and there's the reminder of the GoFunding page for Gino Ria's recuperation. Please contribute if you can. So the Viltias Eagle Racing Yamaha. We're coming up to 23 hours 56, coming up to 23 hours and 57 minutes. 3 minutes to go. How many people do you need in one garage when you want to celebrate a world championship win?
They'll still be. I'm nervous sat here. My palms have gone all sweaty for them.
You're right about the Kronberger bike. Jonathan Hart sat there thinking, well, this is remarkable.
This will do, yeah.
We must be going quick without realising it.
Well, if he sits behind there, he'll keep the sponsors happy as well, won't he?
Yes.
Because the TV's going to follow the other Honda. What can we say about these guys on the Viltias bike, though? Just kept out of trouble, kept ticking away. They've done exactly what they need to do to win a world endurance race.
Yes, yeah. Been at the right place at the right time when it came to the end of that race. And there's still dashing is David Checker on the ERC Endurance Ducati.
And actually second place, just gone out of shot there with Sheridan Marias on the number 77 Wojcik bike.
So everybody's kind of gathering for the finish line.
With that pink on his helmet, so you've got first and second together on the track as well.
Yeah, that's a neat way to have it. I wonder if Sheridan will be happy to just sit there. Look how small Sheridan looks on a bike. He looks like a little lad.
Did you notice the little step he had to use to get on the bike?
Oh, did he?
He used a little step to jump on there.
I'm not surprised. And look, there looks like they're lining up for a combination private Yamaha finish. Two privateer teams are going to end up first and second in the 85th Bol d'Or.
I would think Sheridan will just sit there and just follow him round.
I would have thought that
might be wrong.
I would have thought that would seem the logical thing to do. The gap at the moment is 2 laps.
It's 1 minute. The last minute.
The last minute of the race. In which case the camera, and just at the point where the cameraman gets overexcited, yeah, I think Sheridan is going to settle in behind him. He looked tempted at one point to make a move, but no, it looks like he's just going to settle in behind the leader. And I think the leader ought to be prominent at the finish of the race, or to go across, get the checkered flag first and have a few other people behind him. Last lap 2 minutes and 0.4 of a second for Florian Alt, 1 minute 56.8 for Sheridan Marias. So he's really cut it back. I'm not so sure I wouldn't be tempted to say, oh, let's just get 1 lap down in the results.
Well, now's when you're going to find out.
Is he going to go past him? Or he's just going to look across and grin at him? Grin at one another down the Mistral straight. And Sheridan has gone in front, so he cuts the deficit back to 1 lap, which will look better in the record books, you have to say. Or is he just going to say, no, I've done that bit now, just let him go back ahead of me. Florian Altu set off in competition exactly 20 years ago when he had his first race on a 50cc KTM and won a club championship motocross at Bilstein, a famous German motocross Grand Prix track of years gone by. That was after he'd done a lot of practice on his Yamaha PW50, which it seems to me every racer in the world starts out on. And here he is, nodding his head in glee now, because the 24 hours is up. The 85th Bordeaux coming to its conclusion, and this man, Florian Alt, and the unlikely Viltias Racing Eagle Yamaha takes victory. So, for number 77, Sheridan Marias, he shakes hands with a fellow Yamaha rider as they cross the line.